Hey guys, so I decided to create a video to discuss processes and processes in Microsoft Dynamics CRM. So in my series, Let's Have Fun with CRM, you'll see here that I have a basic online build of CRM. And first I want to just define processes for people. CRM offers the option of having dialogues and having processes or processes. A process is a workflow. Okay, so you can keep that in mind. A workflow is a part of processes. And what is a workflow? What is a process? Well, sometimes you have to do multiple things in CRM, and it's easy to automate things as you go along based on different triggers. So when something is created or you update a field or something of that nature, you want multiple things to take place. So let's create a process and let's just run down what it's about and how to create it and what it does. So here is my POLARIS CRM. I just signed up online, and this is my CRM beta. And what I'm going to demonstrate is basically, suppose I take a new lead, right? I have a business. Let's say I sell furniture, just a random thing. I sell furniture, and a lead calls me and says, "Yeah, so I'm interested in 5 chairs and 3 tables." I don't know, something of that nature. Now, when I take this lead's information, right, I like to email that lead immediately with a summary of our call or a welcome letter or something like that. And then I want to create an appointment to call that lead back in 2 days from today, from when I took the lead. Now, normally in regular content management systems, you would have to go to leads, like I'm doing over here, click on new, create a new lead. Once you're done doing that, you would go to your Outlook and you would send them an email, and then you would go to your calendar, or in CRM, you would actually go to activities, and then you would create a new appointment, and so you click on appointment, and a bunch of steps, or sometimes you have multiple people even working in your business, and sometimes just a short, you're short-handed on employees, or you're a 5-man crew or a 10-man team, you're a 10 or 25-man raid, and you want to get a lot more done quickly. So what is the process going to do for you? The workflow basically is going to create all these steps for you. Um, and that's what I want to discuss. So CRM is really robust. It's actually very incredible. The fact that you can automate so many different things. And let's jump head on to processes. Okay, so there's 2 ways to get to the process window to create it. You can click on settings on your bottom left corner. And you can just click on under Process Center. You have processes, right? So this is one way of getting to it. It's the quickest way. Also, additionally, what you can do is you can click on customizations, right? And then click on Customize the System. And that opens up the very foundation of your CRM build. This is where all the magic is, all the programming and all the relationships and fields and entities. Everything is created here. And of course, we have our processes link down here as well. So when we click on processes in the process center, it's just the same thing as going to customizations and clicking on processes. I could say processes, some people say processes, it doesn't really matter. In any event, let's go and create a new workflow. So let's focus on our example. We have a furniture store, we're taking a lead, and we want to email that lead automatically, and we want to create an appointment for that lead automatically, all by using a process. And keep in mind, this is very global. You can use processes for anything, not just shooting emails and making appointments, but you could do multiple things like assign to different users, add to queues, update other fields, trigger other triggers and other fields that will run additional workflows and so forth. You can have basically, it's like a CNC machine. It's incredible the way that it works. All right, so let's jump head on to it. So I'm going to create a new process by clicking on the little new button over here. And I'm going to give this a name. I'm going to say taking a lead. I'm just going to call it taking a lead. Very, very simple name. And next thing, it's going to ask me, which entity do I want to relate this process to? This process, this workflow that we're building right now, it's going to relate to what? It's going to work off our accounts, our addresses, our campaigns, our cases. In this case, I want it to work on my leads. So when I create a lead, I want this particular workflow to fire. And I'm going to show you how that's going to be done. Our category is going to be a workflow. I will discuss dialogues in a separate video. Dialogue is very different than a workflow. Dialogue is more of a walkthrough, but a workflow is more of a background process. So I'm going to click on workflow, and I'm going to choose new blank process. I don't have any templates built because this is a fresh CRM build, and I'm going to click on OK. So immediately you're going to see that I have a process here called taking a lead. It was just created. It's brand new, and let's open it and take a look at what we have here. So the taking a lead process right now, The entity is lead, the category is workflow, and the scope, well, the scope is going to ask you, well, how do you want this workflow to be executed? Either by user, you want it to be user oriented, or do you want it to be for the entire organization? You got to have the proper rules, by the way, administrative rights to create this. And I'm going to choose my organization for the simple fact that if I had 10 employees working for me or 3 employees taking leads, I want this workflow to fire on all 3 when they all 3 create different leads. I don't want it to be just for a particular business unit or a user. So I'll select organization. Next thing is it's going to ask me what is the trigger. In this case, the trigger is going to be when the record is created, because I want a series of actions to take place when the record is created. Additionally, I can say when a record status is changed, because when a lead becomes deactivated, right? When a lead is active and we mark the lead inactive, we kill it, we can have a workflow automatically fire a retention email saying, hey, we know you're not interested anymore, but here, read the following, kind of like a one last shot to revive the deal. Essentially, it's not just when the status is changed. When something qualifies, when something is closed won, closed lost, etc. When a record is assigned, we can fire a workflow also. Suppose that people are assigning records. Suppose we have 2 employees, Jim and Jane, and Jim assigns a record to Jane to work on. We can have a workflow fire at that point. And what I love the most is when a record field is changed, we can actually pick a field to trigger a workflow. We could say that when someone enters an email address, we're going to trigger this workflow. Or we could say, when somebody enters a custom, we can make a custom field. I didn't make one offhand, but when someone enters a company name, make a workflow, trigger the workflow. So in this case, I'm not going to select any of this on. Of course, we could do it when a record is deleted. We can have a workflow done. We can have a notification sent to a manager saying a record was deleted with the record information, things of that nature. So I'm going to choose to make this when the record is created. We're going to start this workflow with automatically be fired when we save a record, in this case, a lead. There's another thing here called available to run, right? So we can set this workflow sometimes to not even start, but to be an on-demand process, which means that we can actually manually execute this workflow on one record or multiple records in one shot. Maybe we don't want it to be automatic, but we want a series of automated steps to take place on demand when we want to execute it, not because it's being triggered by something. So it'll be user triggered, like by human rather than the machine. And of course, as a child process, we could have the workflow fire off from another workflow. So we could set this workflow on a child level, so we can create another workflow, which will be the parent, and actions in that particular workflow will trigger off the child workflow. So I don't want it to be in either way. I don't want it to be on demand, and I don't want it to be a child. I want it to be when the record is created, when it's saved, when it's created, when they take the lead for the first time. Right below, we make the steps for our workflow. So this is also where the magic happens. Here we select a series of steps that will determine what happens when the workflow is triggered and when it's fired. So let's go over the steps real quick. We can add stages in here, so multiple phases and stages. Normally, I don't even use stages. I want to be fully honest with you. I jump straight to the actions, but you can add stages. We can also add a check condition. A check condition is an if condition. We could say that if lead does not have an email, then do the following. Right, I'll show you. So I'm going to click on check condition, right? And I'm going to say, I'm going to call this check for an email address. And I'm going to say if the condition, right? So I'm going to say if, and let this load. I don't know if my connection is slow or sometimes online CRM is slow, but it does happen sometimes that there is some lag, especially on the development end. It would really be bad if you're in the middle of a business deal or you're trying to do something and then it freezes on you. All right, so it popped up, and we're going to say if, and we're going to say lead. Let's say lead email address, and I'm going to select the field. If lead email address does not contain data. So I just set here a condition, not a condition, but I'm checking for a condition. I'm saying look at the lead record, look at the email field, and see if it does or does not contain data. Initially, we could do other things too. We could say look at another field, and we could say if this field contains a certain value, we could say if lead state equals New York, then do the following. Or if lead if lead requirement, a requirement field, a custom field does not equal a certain value, then do the following. So this is really, really powerful because you're teaching the workflow how to think. You're building out the logic in the workflow, and this is what this is about. So we could say, so if the lead email address does not contain data, right? We're going to make a step, and we're going to say something like fire an email, right? Send an email to an employee. Send the email to Jim. Or send email to owner, to lead owner, the person who took the lead, reminding them, hey, call up this lead. Here, create a new message, call up this lead, and ask him for an email. So I'm not going to do this right now. I'm going to focus on my first example. I just wanted to show you what the conditions is, the if conditioning. It's really, really powerful, by the way, to use check condition. It's really magical. So of course, now we have the actions here. We have wait condition. We can make the workflow wait a couple of seconds or minutes, or we can make it wait a day before it actually executes. It's actually really cool. We can control the time frame of when will this workflow execute. We can say send an email a week after this workflow is executed. We can say create a record. We can say update a record. We can create a new record based on creating a new lead, which we're going to do in this case. I'm going to show you guys what we're going to do. We have update a record, and of course we can update a related record or a new record. We can automatically assign a record, including this record, to somebody. We can send an email automatically. We can start a child workflow, which we covered on top. We have a child and parent workflows. We could change the status of this particular record. And of course, we can just end the workflow. We have an end workflow, stop workflow. If a condition is not met, we could just say, if lead does not have an email, then stop workflow. Otherwise, if it does have an email, then proceed to send an email. So we can actually use that. So let's create a workflow. So again, back to the example, we have a furniture company, we're taking leads, we want to shoot an email to our lead. So we're going to immediately do this. We're going to go and we're going to create a check condition. And we're going to say check for email. Check for email. And we're going to go here, and I'm just going to quickly do this. If lead, and then we're going to say email address does not contain data. If it does not contain data, I want the workflow to end. I want to stop this workflow. Because there's no point in trying to send the email if it doesn't work, right? End workflow, and end it with a status of succeeded. I'll show you why status are important for workflows. We can say canceled, succeeded. I'll just leave it at succeeded. Then now we can actually modify this. Now we could say add step. We can add a conditional branch. We could say otherwise if, right? Otherwise if lead email address does contain data, which means that obviously it has an email address. Then we want to send the email. So we're going to go and we're going to say send an email message, and we're going to call it send literature. How about that? Send literature. And let's set the properties for the email. So we're going to say this email is going to come from the person who took this lead, the owner. We're going to add. Oh, let's go over this real quick. The form assistance allows you to add variables in here that will automatically populate. I can make this email come from anybody in my company or anybody in CRM, but I'm choosing that if Jim took the lead, I want the lead to get the email from Jim. If Jane took the lead, I want the email to come from Jane. So all I did was I said look for lead owner and then add that in here as the variable, which will automatically fill when this workflow takes action. 2 is going to be to the lead. So we're going to say email, send this email to the lead, whatever the lead email is, send it to, and we're going to make a subject. Obviously, we can use templates also. We don't have to always write this out, but I'm just going to make a subject. Hello from us. And I could say here, thank you so much for contacting me about blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Okay. So we have our email. We're done. I could save and close this. So let's go over real quick what we're doing here. So as soon as this workflow fires when a lead is created, it'll automatically check if the lead has an email. If it doesn't have an email, it's going to end the workflow. It's not going to proceed to sending an email to that address. Otherwise, if it does have an email, then it will send the email over to the lead, and it will continue along its steps. Now we're going to add an additional step in here, and the step is going to be create a record, and we're going to say create follow-up appointment. Follow-up appointment, and we're going to create a new record, and that record will be an appointment, and we'll set the property here for the appointment. Subject is going to be follow up with and then we're going to do it with a lead, and we're going to add a variable in here. We're going to add the lead's first name. So if the lead is called Michael, it's going to say follow up with Michael. So here, follow up with the lead's first name, right? Follow up with the lead first name, and it's going to say follow up with Michael. Location doesn't matter. Obviously, we can fill multiple things here, but start time, we're going to make 2 days after the lead is created. So 2 days after a lead is created, this appointment will take place. It'll show that this is the start time. And the end time is going to be 2 days and let's say 1 hour. We're going to reserve a 1 hour slot for this lead after the lead is created. Show time is free, normal, and we're going to call this appointment automatic appointment. Yeah, appointment set for first name for Michael. I'm just going to say Michael. I don't know why I have that in my head, but for Michael to discuss anything. And I'm going to save and close it. That's it. I just created my first workflow. This workflow is ready to go. So this is the logic of my workflow. This is the artificial intelligence already built. When a lead is taken, what's going to happen now, it'll check for an email. If an email exists, it's going to send out a literature email and then create an appointment. If there is no email, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to send literature, and it's not going to send appointment. It's just going to end with, let's make it with canceled so we can tell that the person didn't have an email. So now I'm going to save this workflow, and you're going to see right now it's going to save. And of course now it's in draft status because we have not yet activated it. Workflow does not take place until it is activated by clicking the activate button on the very top. So keep in mind that this could be the job of a person. This could be, I could be reducing my salary, paying someone to do this, set appointments for me and send emails, when I can make CRM do it for me already. It's a money saver, and it's automatic, and it's lovely. So I'm going to click on activate, and I'm going to click on OK, and it's going to gray out, meaning I'm not going to be able to edit it while it's active. And that's it. It's ready to go. Workflow primary entity lead is now activated. So now let's go back to my workplace. Let's go to leads, and let's pretend we're taking a lead. Why not? So let my lead window open, and I'm going to use my example. I'm going to say Michael Jackson called me. Michael Jackson. All right, let this thing open up. And once I create the lead, I'm going to show you how to check the status of the workflow. Oh, web page is not available. Great. Looks like CRM is acting up. There we go. All right. The error you just saw was because I added a custom JavaScript this while I was playing before, but it really doesn't matter. Okay, so let's continue. So the topic is going to be interested in buying chairs. First name is Michael, last name is Jackson, job title is nothing. We're not going to use that. Business phone doesn't matter. None of this is actually required in this system in particular. Now we do have email here. So I am going to leave the email blank for Michael Jackson. I'm not going to put an email address in there. I'm just going to save this particular lead. Now it is created. It is saved, right? It is saved. So the workflow actually fired in the background. You don't see it. You definitely don't see it, but it fired. And let me just modify this form so we could see the workflow status. It seems that out of the blue they just took that out. They don't really want you to see it, the processes, but I want you to be able to see originally they used to have this where you can just view the processes, but they removed everything from the build because they kind of want you to they figure less is more. So I'm just going to add that in there. I just clicked on customize form and I added workflows over to my processes section so we can actually monitor and see what happened with the process. So let me open up Michael Jackson. That's my lead and my little JavaScript error. And I'm going to click on processes and I'm going to click here and you're going to see what happens. Taking the lead, canceled. Now why did the workflow cancel? Remember, we never put an email in there and we have a condition that basically says check if the email is there. So when we open up the process just to check if it worked, remember you'll never do this because this all happens in the background. So when I open up the process and I look, you're going to see here that it successfully checked for an email and it successfully stopped the email with a status of canceled. Why did it do that? Because there is no email in there. That's what we said. That's what we taught this workflow. So I'm going to close this now and I'm going to create a new lead. I'm going to go in leads and I'm going to create a brand new lead, and this lead is going to be also interested in tables. And first name will be Janet, last name will be Jackson. And I'm going to give an email address to this person. I'm going to give it some fake email address, Janet Jackson at moonwalker.com. All right, some random email. And I'm going to save and close this. So what's happening now is, again, behind the scene, our workflow is now working, and it checks the conditions, and it's going to show you that it successfully created everything that we wanted. So let's look at our workflow, and you'll see the status of this one is succeeded. It's not canceled. And the reason for that, and here, let me just go in here and I'll show you what happened. So it checked to see if the lead had an email. It did have an email, so it went and it sent out the literature to this email. Hello from us, that was the name of the email. And then it created the appointment. So now let's look here. Let's look here at the activities. And if you look at the activities, you'll see here, follow up with Janet is an open appointment that was created, right? And you'll see the due date is going to be by the 8th, which is 2 days from today, which is the 6th. And that's what we designated in a workflow. We said, hey, 2 days after the lead is created, make a due date, make an appointment. And it's going to be regarding the lead Janet. It's pretty cool, right? And if we look at our closed activities, activities that already took place, you'll see that an email went out and the status of that email is completed. And if we look at the email, if we open it to look at it, you'll see here that this email was sent. So, you know, it really has no body in it. I really didn't write anything of importance. So what am I showing you here? Here, let me just reopen it because it doesn't seem like CRM loaded it fully. There we go. All right. Thank you so much for contacting me about blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. So that's the email that got sent out to Janet. And not just it got sent out to Janet, but now if I look at my current activities, all my activities, I see here that I have a follow-up. So in my workflow, I could have said a million things. I could have said, don't just create an appointment, but also create an opportunity. Don't just create an opportunity, but also create a contact. Don't just create a contact, but also dish out a bunch of other emails and add this person to the queue so other people can work this lead and make sure this lead doesn't go dry. You know, I can even have, if you have an IVR system, you can schedule automated phone call. You could automatically send a text message. You can automatically say if person has a phone number, then do the following. Or you can automatically say, you know, multiple conditions. So that's really what I wanted to show in this video. I wanted to show the power of workflows, and this is how great it is. The fact that you can create a workflow that'll automatically do things for you. And as long as it's active, it's going to work. And you can disable a workflow at any time. And you can make workflows do everything for you. I'm just going back to the workflow window. So what am I demonstrating to you? I'm demonstrating to you that you can build this artificial intelligence within CRM using workflows to do multiple things, such as communication and setting all types of appointments and setting all types of other entities and firing off other things. And before you know it, the job that you would give to 3 people can be minimized automatically by having a machine do it in less than a minute. It's very, very cool. And it's unable, you can't do this with BCM, which I hate. I wish they did include this in BCM, but they didn't. And this existed in CRM since 4.0 to my knowledge, because that's when I got into CRM. And in Orion, I know it's going to be even more interesting. So I'm going to end the video here, and I hope you guys liked this video and that you enjoyed. And I will try to make some more videos focusing now on CRM. And, you know, check out my channel. I have tons of content there. You know, I jumped from Excel to Outlook to BCM, and now I'm in CRM. And I made some other, you know, arbitrary knowledge videos about command prompts and you know, just general Windows usage and just cool tips and shortcuts for anybody to use. So I hope you like this video, and I hope you watch my channel or subscribe. I really appreciate the feedback from people. As a matter of fact, that inspires me to create even more material. And thank you again very much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Bye.